Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 79 in Agile Meridian's Agile Shorts. Today's episode is labeled The Big Pivot, and it's actually really about two big pivots, or potentially two big pivots, at least that. So I'm joined here today with my partner, Kumar Dattatreyan, partner in Agile Meridian. Welcome, Kumar.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about this big pivot idea. So I think it's interesting. We're seeing all kinds of big pivots in the market space, in the business communities that we serve, looking into the pivot towards what's next, what's coming, what is deemed as valuable, and what is helping organizations and individuals of different sizes move forward with today's VUCA and all of the different things going on and all the disruptions going on. How are people adapting to that? And we're seeing that a lot of the techniques, the mindsets, some of the frameworks, they're all having to make some pivots to keep up and to evolve with the needs of the market space. Certainly, we at Agile Meridian have been doing that for some time. We've been over the last 5 years plus. We've been honing and developing our disruptor method and working with organizations to help them improve greater profitability and personal success for the leaders and individuals at the organizations, plus help further their social desires in terms of moving their social momentum forward with their mission and vision. But there's changes going on in the way people are helping other organizations. People like ourselves are helping other organizations. And I wanted to talk with you today, Kumar, around some of the things you're seeing in terms of those pivots. And what are you doing? I hear that there's something you're doing to look at driving some new pivots or directions as well in this new space.
Yeah, there's so much going on in the Agile community. And last week I talked about how Agile coaches need to pivot, their mindset, their way of working with their clients, broaden their knowledge, if you will, invest in new certifications, invest in additional learning. All of those things are important from a Agile standpoint, because Agile is 35 years old now, right? If you think about when Scrum started in the 80s, officially 93 or whatever, but really people were using it in the 80s, the mid to late 80s, and the manifesto, the mindset, all of that's been since 2001. It's almost 25 years. And lean has been around even longer than that, right?
75 plus, right? Yeah,
exactly. So these things have been around a long time. It's almost like, okay, it's, waterfall's been around forever. Of course, waterfall methods are still in use, and agile and lean are, of course, still in use, but everything's evolving, everything's changing. And so I think we all need to adapt and evolve and change as well. And Mike, you mentioned the disruptor method. That is a pivot away from pure frameworks like Scrum and SAFe and so on and so forth to a pattern-based approach to transformation, right? Mm-hmm. And we have been fairly successful at taking out the buzzwords and really focusing on what's most important to the companies, the businesses that we serve. And I think for me, let me back up here a minute and get your thoughts on this too. Disruptor method is really focused on medium-sized, maybe even large companies, right? Or maybe departments or divisions within large companies. And it's meant to disrupt how the people in that division, department, company, smaller company work and adapt and pivot to their market conditions, make them more business capable, make people more capable themselves, right? What is your thinking on that, on the disruptor method? You agree with that?
Yeah, exactly. It's really about a lot of folks that are really they look at it and go, I can see the value in this, or the folks that are trying to move into a different, call it like a different phase of their life cycle, right? They're looking to grow. A lot of companies that were started, 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, mom and pops, startup companies that have grown, they've been successful, but they're trying to make that jump from startup to scale up. They're trying to make that leap, right? and they're looking at ways to do that in this marketplace that's like quicksand. It's just shifting all the time and trying to deal with that without the advantage of scale that a lot of really large organizations have. And to your point, even large divisions of really large companies are seeing the same challenges, right? It's that movement from where we are today to that next level of productivity and value and success that both the organization and the individuals are looking for. So that's where it's been very effective. That's where we've found a lot of interest from different clients that we've worked with over the last 5 years.
Right. And so where the disruptor method, and you can check it out on the disruptormethod.com website, which is live now. And we have a fantastic testimonial there of the efficacy of the method and how it helped a medium-sized company really thrive in a changing landscape. For me personally, it's been very rewarding, of course, working with my partners and seeing the success of the disruptor method. It's still in its nascent phases. So, check out the site, give us some feedback on what you think. For me personally, over the past year, I've been focusing more on small businesses. So these are businesses with, 5 to 20 employees. Many of them are solopreneurs, people like a person working out of their home for a small marketing firm or agency like that. And I've had some success helping these companies, these small companies, from startup to at least some modicum of scale up, to be able to be more sustainable as a business, put more money in their bottom line, and so on. And so that's my focus. It's an experiment to see, hey, is this something that can work? So that as our company, as Meridian, we can serve both small companies, medium and companies, and large companies all at the same time. Things like Scrum and SAFe, of course, they don't work for tiny little companies. Of course,
Right.
The agile methods and the mindsets, all of those work. However, the frameworks don't work.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so for me, it's about bringing the experience that I have as a professional coach, as an agile coach, to small businesses to help them be more profitable. It's really about that.
That's excellent. Yeah, and you're right. Those frameworks are overkill for situations like that, and for certain industries and certain things that are groups that are trying to figure out how they're going to make that next move or that next pivot. Sometimes it's a lot more situational and contextual to what they're dealing with. So I have a feeling. How do you see the parallel between these two areas? Obviously, there's a scale differentiator, but there's obviously something. Let's call it something in the air that is attracting folks to looking at something like this and saying, this could be something that could help us out. This could be something that could help me out and help me meet the mission and vision of the organizations I'm trying to serve, or my organization that I'm trying to grow from the ground up. It had some success, got a good idea. How do I take that to the next level? We seem to be seeing some good amount of interest at both levels with this type of an approach. What have you seen, Kumar, that really makes you that's drawing these folks to them and making them go, I think this is something I want to try?
Do you mean trying out or hiring business coaches to help them in their business, or?
Yeah. In terms of the approach that you're taking with the smaller businesses and that we've taken with the disruptor method.
Yeah.
What's the attraction to folks around that? Why are they attracted to it? And what do you think is the reasoning that they're interested in going ahead and contacting and working with us?
Well, I think that, Scrum and SAFe and the frameworks are all great. They have a good track record to, Scrum, of course, 35 years of Scrum in all sorts of different industries, right? To product-based companies, manufacturing companies, you name it. It's a framework, though. It's a set of patterns and practices that people follow, and it's not as focused on tangible results. I mean, of course, it's inherent. You do these things, and you should deliver better results. You should put more money in the bottom line. You should be able to have a happier, more engaged workforce. but it's not inherent. It's not the goal of Scrum or SAFe and all those things. I mean, SAFe might claim that it is. In fact, a lot of their metrics on their website say that it is.
But there's a list of caveats that come with that, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, if this and this and this and this and this,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And so with disruptor method and with my new experiment, the product that company I'm calling Profit Sensei. So I'm the sensei. I'm going to help you build profit. That's the idea. The idea there is, let's focus on the results first. Let's focus on the outcomes first, right? Which is something that in the Agile community, people have been saying forever. Hey, let's focus on outcomes. Let's focus on outcomes. But I think a lot of, at least in my experience, it hasn't been really reinforced. I think Agile coaching and coaches in general are more focused on the process rather than the outcome. And so for me, I think the reason why disruptor method and business coaching in general is probably more appealing to small to medium-sized companies is because it's the focus. It's about how do I craft a compelling mission vision for my company that is focused on my ideal customer, right? How do I attract and retain customers to buy my products? How do I attract and attract leads, new potential customers into my ecosystem of products and services?
These are things they're talking about every day, right?
Exactly.
Amongst themselves and their talent and everything else.
That's exactly. And Scrum and the frameworks, they don't talk about these things. They talk more about how people should work and deliver value and collaborate. And those are all important. But I think those are all secondary to being aligned towards common mission vision, figuring out how to attract the best talent, figuring out how to deliver the most valuable products, experimenting and iterating your way towards that. And that's where I think I want to focus, right? I want to focus on business coaching and helping businesses, which are really the backbone of this economy, thrive, right? Not just survive, but thrive. And as I'm doing that, of course, I'm going to be bringing in the patterns that work for Scrum and Agile and things like that.
Sure, the techniques are solid, right?
Yeah, it's not that a small restaurant needs to use Scrum, but let me tell you something. Early in my career, my first jobs were all in restaurants. I used to run restaurants in my 20s, and there are amazing parallels between Agile frameworks and restaurant work, right? Because you have no choice but to be nimble and agile when you're running a restaurant. The product lifecycle in a restaurant is measured in minutes, not months or years, but minutes. Literally, you have to put a product on the table or that customer is not coming back. And they're going to tell 10 other people, hey, don't go to Mike's Pizza because it sucks. Right. And so that's really what I'm trying to focus on is, kind of going back to my roots, if you will. Not that I'm going to run a restaurant, but I'd love to help, independent restaurant owners, businesses become more profitable, especially in this climate with higher interest rates, lower wages, employees that jump consistently from job to job.
A lot of challenges there. Yeah, there's a lot of challenges in that space. It's interesting. Right. You mentioned something that I think is an interesting correlation. It's kind of an interesting tie-in. That you talk about the frameworks and a lot of the structures and things like that, and they focus on value delivery, but they don't talk about specific value to deliver for a specific company. Right now, I think you and I have seen this. We did this in our coaching careers, and others that we've worked with and kind of consider our peers do a nice job of taking that and contextualizing it at a client with a client and with their customers to focus on specific items, right? But on their own, they don't do that, and I think it's I think it's an interesting pivot to kind of get down to brass tacks and think about what are these goals that we're gonna shoot for before we even start work, and think about specific elements of those goals specific to that organization or to that set of individuals or that owner. And I think while some of the approaches said they did that, and I think good coaches would extrapolate that out and
Yeah.
try to make that the case, right? The experience on their own, they were not doing that. And in a lot of cases, I think a lot of the backlash you're hearing around the business community around some of the results over the last 15, 20 years is really about faulty execution on some of that stuff and
Yeah.
taking the framework as the value instead of looking at what is the individuals and the leaders in the organization I'm working with getting. What are they
Yeah.
going to be able to do when I'm not here, when we're
Right.
done? And now they're on their own trying to do this 2, 3, 5 years down the road. How are they better for our time together?
Right. Well, it's not entirely our fault. People that hire us, especially in large companies as Agile coaches, they want us to implement an Agile framework of some sort and train and coach all the people on how to use it well. And because it's the promise, the promise is that when you do that, you're going to have better results. Right. And so we are not seen as business experts necessarily. We're seen as Agile framework experts. And so
And
our
implement.
role is sort of defined by those guardrails. Hey, tell us how to do this stuff, but hey, you don't need to get involved in leadership decisions. You don't need to get involved in telling us that our vision is not articulated well enough, and we don't have a strong market dominating position for the products that we serve. We don't need you for that. We've got our business consultants from the Big Four helping us with those things. We don't need you, right? And so, it's unfortunate because there's a lot of really wonderful Agile coaches out there that can and do try to provide that kind of advice, but they may not always be. It may fall on deaf ears. It's like, now what do you that's fine. Good. Thanks for letting me know, but just go back to helping my teams with their Scrum implementation and make sure the velocity keeps going up.
Yeah,
right?
that's the outcome, right? So again, that's really the outcome you're looking for is increased velocity. You don't even know what velocity means, do you? Because if you did, you wouldn't be asking for that as an outcome. So
Yeah.
It is very interesting to see, and I think it's going to be interesting as we move forward into this new space because I think it's going to be more rewarding not only for customers and organizations, but for folks like us that are in the space to do good, to see individuals perform and excel, to see people take on and have new capabilities that they call you up 2, 3, 5 years later. You talked about the testimonial, Eileen at BevCorp. She's phenomenal, and her people are doing phenomenal things. And it was so exciting to go do a testimonial with them 3 years after we started. And everywhere I go when I'm there doing the testimonial and the shoots and everything, everybody's coming up and saying, "Oh, Mike, can you look at what we did? Remember when we talked about this? We couldn't get." And there's just all these stories, and everybody's very energized and engaged, and it's all happening organically now. That was not a culture that existed there. But to your point, because the senior leaders saw value in having that was part of the goal and the outcome we were looking for out of this entire thing. The ability and the capability for those leaders to craft an environment that could spur culture that would be self-sustaining and driving the things that they wanted to drive. And now they're getting involved in all kinds of community activity, and they're growing their business organically through talent, through means and accessing and building their own talent sources that they had no idea how they were going to fill 2, 3 years ago. It's so cool to see. And I think it can be very rewarding for other folks that are in our space to look towards moving in this direction. When you think about that, what would you say? We're coming up on the end of our time here. What would you say to organization leaders that are looking for this as to why they might want to see it, and for other coaches like ourselves as to why they might want to think about pivoting towards this style of help for organizations that they serve?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's not that Agile is dead. It isn't. and companies need to function with agility. They need to be nimble and they need to be adaptable. All those things are true. And so long live agility, right? And so for companies, I think the focus should be more on hiring people that are adaptable, and certainly getting help from companies that have experience with helping their clients adapt to a changing marketplace. And if your favorite agile shop has that kind of experience and they've transcended just the pure frameworks, hey, go for it. Hire them. I think we're Agile Meridian. I mean, of course, I'm going to think that because I'm one of the founders of Agile Meridian, but I think we have transcended that. We do offer something that is more than just the frameworks. And I don't mean to belittle the frameworks. I mean, there's some incredibly talented and smart people that built these frameworks based on, millions of hours of empirical evidence that these things actually work. So I don't mean to belittle that at all. All I'm saying is that the frameworks are absolutely needed. We need more of a focus. Organizations need to see more of a focus from the companies that support them, like us, on building top line revenue, bottom line profits, right? Delivering value to the customers that we serve. More of an emphasis on building cultures that sustain people and allow them to grow, right? So as long as we can do that, I think that would be a great outcome for agility in general, for the companies that provide those services to companies. And for coaches, I'd love to work with coaches that want to get into this, to be more pragmatic and more focused on bottom line, top line sales, right? It's not just about the frameworks. It's really getting leadership of the small company, big company, whatever it is, aligned on what they are all about and how they're going to attract customers to that message. And so,
yeah, it's being the business partner, right? It's
exactly.
not just helping them with a framework or a flow of work. It's about business outcomes and results, and being that partner from a business perspective, inclusive of talent, inclusive of market space, inclusive of marketing, and all these other things that a business owner is thinking about. I think that's really key, and it can be so much more rewarding as a person who is helping someone achieve those things. You walk back into your organization 3 years later, you're welcomed like a hero, and everybody's telling you great stories, and it's just the most enjoyable, rewarding thing in your career to see that happen for other folks, and to see them just thoroughly enjoy their work environment and to be bragging about everything that they've achieved. It's really a cool thing.
Yeah, actually, exactly. And, we'll include links to the Disruptor Method and Profit Sensei in the show notes below. Visit the site. I think my first priority is to build, to validate this experiment that there is a market that I can actually be successful as a business coach. And once that's proven, which I'm well on my way to doing, then it's to get other coaches involved in this, in Profit Sensei and the Disruptor Method, because really they're very much, I wouldn't say the same. It just serves a different tier of the market, right? So Profit Sensei, small business, literally small business, right? Disruptor Method, medium to large, not super large, not the mega businesses, but
dealing with scale and scaling and those types of things. Exactly.
Correct.
There's that component that is definitely a part of that element.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you on our next Agile Shorts. Please check out the links. We're excited to show you what's going on, and excited to have you hear the stories of other folks that have gone through this approach and what they're able to achieve and how they're enjoying their success. So thank you again.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.